Azerbaijan detains the former leader of the Nagorno-Karabakh government in its first high-profile arrest since the military operation last week.
NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg has said Ukraine's closer than ever to the alliance as French and British ministers visit Kyiv.
A blast in Uppsala, Sweden has killed a 25-year-old woman. It's the latest death in a series of attacks linked to a gangland feud.
Azerbaijan has detained the former leader of the Breakaway Nagorno-Karabakh government, Ruben Vardanyan, in its first high-profile arrest since launching its military operation in the region last week. In a recent media interview, Vardanyan said that he knew he would be a target for Azerbaijani forces when the war started, claiming Baku saw him as an obstacle to peace. Vardanyan was reportedly detained as he tried to cross the border into Armenia on Wednesday morning, is one of more than 50,000 ethnic Armenians who have fled the region to avoid incoming Azerbaijani control. Those who are getting out say they're bringing what they can with them, but much of their old lives is being left behind. Families on this bus say they've been travelling for days.
Մենք չենք տեսել, բայց լսել ենք, որ մեզանից հետո դուրս գալուց հետո գյուղն են մտել արդեն տանել.
With the flood of refugees heading its way, Armenia says it's assessing the needs of people leaving Nagorno-Karabakh in order to provide them with adequate support. Everything from providing food, clothes, social care, and somewhere to live. Azerbaijan says it's sending aid to Nagorno-Karabakh, including 10 vehicles and a field hospital, to help with the aftermath of the recent fueling station blast, which left dozens dead and injured.
A warm welcome in Kyiv today for French Armed Forces Minister Sébastien Lecornu and for the UK's new Defence Secretary Grant Shapps, meeting the Ukrainian President for the first time. And in a surprise visit, NATO's Secretary-General.
Financial, humanitarian.
With words of encouragement for the Ukrainian forces on the front line.
Every meter that Ukrainian forces regains is a meter that Russia loses. And there is a stark contrast. Ukrainians are fighting for their families, their future, their freedom. Moscow is fighting for imperial delusions. Ukraine is now closer to NATO than ever before.
Сьогодні це вже розмова де-факто союзників і питання часу, коли Україна де-юре стане членом альянсу. Ми робимо все, щоб наблизити цей час.
At the same time, Moscow's doubling down on its defence spending to support what it calls the special military operation. Defence will account for 30% of federal spending in 2024, 6% of GDP. And that's a first for post-Soviet Russia.
In Sweden, a woman has died after what police believe may be the latest in a series of explosions linked to a gang war. It happened in the residential area in Fullerö, north of the city of Uppsala. Investigators say the 25-year-old victim was a neighbour of the targeted premises and had no criminal links. Several other people were injured in two other blasts across the country, one in the south and one in a suburb of Stockholm. The attacks are said to be part of a long-running feud between two rival gangs in a turf war of drugs and weapons.
The European aid organisation SOS Mediterrane has been awarded a so-called alternative Nobel Prize. Right Livelihood Awards have been given to courageous individuals and organisations since 1980.
The international organisation SOS Mediterrane receives the award for its life-saving humanitarian search and rescue operations in the Mediterranean Sea.
Founded in 2015, SOS Mediterrane has saved up to 40,000 people on the perilous Mediterranean route between North Africa and Europe.
The 2023 Right Livelihood laureates stand up to save lives, preserve nature and safeguard the dignity and livelihoods of communities around the world. They bear witness to untold suffering and they demand a livable future for all. With their concrete and courageous work, the laureates fight for people's right to health, the right to safety, to a clean environment, and to democracy.
The three other honorees include women's rights activist Eunice Brookman-Amisa from Ghana, environmental activist Phyllis Omido from Kenya, and Cambodian environmental activist group Mother Nature Cambodia.
Switzerland's ice caps are melting at record speeds. The Swiss Academy for Natural Sciences says glaciers in the land of milk and honey have shrunk 10% in just 2 years, approximately 4% in 2023 and 6% in 2022. That's the same volume of ice lost between 1960 and 1990. So what's causing these glaciers to melt at such an alarming rate? Scientists say the lack of rain, low snowfall and scorching summer temperatures in recent years are to blame. 2,000 metres high in the Alps, more than half of the automated monitoring stations observed new 25-year lows. Even at altitudes of 3,000 metres, where glaciers are normally stable, experts recorded several metres of snowmelt. But that's not all. Researchers warn that all glaciers in Switzerland and Europe are at risk of disappearing by the end of the century if global warming continues.
New floods following torrential rain once again sweeping across swathes of central Greece, an area already battered by deadly storms weeks earlier. Roads have been damaged and homes flooded, and power outages were reported in the city of Volos and the island of Evia. At least 8 villages were ordered to evacuate as floodwaters rose, while other residents were urged to stay indoors. The fire service received hundreds of calls for assistance, but there were no reports of deaths or people missing.
It's been a thorn in Europe's side since the 2008 financial crash. But in Portugal, the housing crisis has gone from bad to worse. The rising cost of rent has forced some working families out of their homes and into tents. And the math doesn't add up. Half of the population earns €1,000 a month, but on average a single room will set a tenant back €600.
Sim, tenho 2 filhos, nós procuramos ajuda. Pronto, deram-nos, porque a gente estava morando em hostéis. Pronto, descobriram isso, por eu pedir ajuda e disseram que eu tinha 3 semanas para arrumar uma casa, para eu pôr eles na casa, e eu não consegui esse tempo, então depois acharam melhor tirar. Até eu resolver a minha situação, né, ter uma casa e tudo, pronto, e vejo eles uma vez por semana.
Eu pagava €400. Tirava uma média de 800 por mês e pagava 400, quer dizer, 50% só para o arrendamento. Aí você coloca 40 de passe, 150 de mercado, então não tem como.
And these hikes are showing no signs of slowing down. In fact, economists say rent is likely to continue rising in line with inflation. Low-income support groups across the country are now calling on the government to intervene.
Spanish police have raided the referees committee offices as part of an investigation into alleged corrupt payments by Barcelona to an official. The probe began in March with allegations that the Catalan side paid over €7 million to firms owned by José María Enríquez Negreira, a former committee vice president. No arrests were made during the Madrid search, and Barcelona has so far denied any wrongdoing. UEFA, which has provisionally cleared the club for this season's Champions League, is also investigating the matter.
Bruce Springstein has postponed all 2023 shows until next year as he recovers from a peptic ulcer. He'd already cancelled performances in August and September. The 73-year-old rock legend announced on his website that he and his E Street Band would be postponing this month's concerts under doctor's orders. Peptic ulcer disease occurs when open sores form in the stomach or small intestine. Springstein said in a post on social media that he's heartbroken at the sudden turn of events.
Veteran actor Michael Gambon has died at the age of 82.
whilst I've been assured that their presence will not disrupt...
He was known to many as Hogwarts headmaster Albus Dumbledore in 6 of the 8 Harry Potter films. An accomplished stage actor, winner of 3 Oliviers and a Tony, his screen performances included The Cook, The Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, The King's Speech, Gosford Park and Paddington. He won 4 BAFTAs for roles including The Singing Detective. His publicist said he died of pneumonia.